Am I the a-hole for not wearing the wedding dress my stepsister handmade for me? I, 25 female, got married 2 weeks ago. My now husband, 27 male, and I paid for most of the wedding, but my father covered a few costs for us. My father's girlfriend Stella has a daughter, Zoe, 21 female, who is finishing her degree in fashion. She wants to get into the wedding dress industry once she graduates. When I started planning my wedding, she offered to design and make my dress. I was hesitant at first, as I'd been excited about picking out my own dress. I agreed because I didn't know Zoe well. My father had only been dating her mother for 2 years, and I thought this could be a nice opportunity to bond. Also, I'd seen some of her work. She'd made a couple ball gowns in college, and she seemed honestly good. We met up a few times to discuss our ideas. During those, I realized our styles were drastically different, but we still managed to agree on a design. I gave Zoe my measurements and asked her to update me. She didn't. Whenever I asked her how she was doing, she'd say she would send me progress pictures when she got home. She never did. It took her longer than expected to finish it, and I didn't get the dress until a month before my wedding. It looked nothing like the design we'd agreed on. It was the wrong color, the wrong style, everything. It looked exactly like the type of dress Zoe would want to wear, but I knew I'd never wear anything like it. I really did not like that dress. When I tried it on, I found out it was also about 3 sizes too big. Though I knew I could probably have it altered, I truly did not want to wear that dress on my wedding day. I called Zoe and told her I wouldn't wear the dress. I said it looked lovely, but not the style we'd agreed on, and I thought it would be best for me to find a different dress. I offered to pay her for her work. She'd made the dress for free, but she declined and hung up on me. I went to a retail bridal store with my maid of honor, and we found a beautiful gown that didn't need much altering. It looked exactly like what I wanted. Fast forward to my wedding, I walked down the aisle in the dress I bought. Zoe seemed to be on the verge of tears during the ceremony, and Stella gave me dirty looks throughout the reception. When I approached them a while later, they were both short with me. My father, Stella and Zoe left less than an hour into the reception. My father and Stella called me the next day and told me off for how I'd treated Zoe. This had been her first time making a wedding dress and had been excited to see me wearing it. They said it was insulting of me to not wear the dress she'd put so much effort into. I tried to explain why I hadn't worn the dress, but they're both insisting the dress was beautiful and I could have sucked it up. My husband and my younger sister, not Zoe, are on my side. I've been feeling guilty about this since I decided not to wear the dress. Am I the a-hole?
Not the a-hole. Zoe disrespected you by ignoring your wants. As a designer, she needs to listen to her clients. Plus, her making the dress way too big means she isn't that great at it. Give the dress back to Zoe, and let her know that you appreciated the effort, but this was not the dress you wanted and the two of you agreed to. That you are sure she will find someone to appreciate the dress. As for her mom and your dad, let them know that Zoe needs to listen to her clients. And that though you appreciate Zoe's efforts, it was not what you wanted, and that as a client you don't need to suck it up. And that they should have learned to accept that people have a right to make their own choices, especially regarding wedding dresses. Honestly wondering if Zoe did this on purpose to get attention during your wedding.
I don't think she did this for attention. I think she got carried away and made the dress she wanted instead of the one we'd agreed on.
Sorry, but look at it how we see it. She knew that you would not be wearing the dress, because you told her a month before and explained why. She had time to accept this and she knew. You walk down the aisle and she tears up. So her mom asks her why. She then tells her mom that you did not wear the dress she made for you, and whatever else she wanted to throw in. Now her mom is pissed at you. Because if her mom would have been offended, they would never had shown up at your wedding or had addressed the issue before the wedding. You were played.
Not the a-hole. The thing about being a designer, especially a bridal designer, is listening to the bride and what sort of dress they see themselves in. You likely didn't get any progress photos because she knew this was her style, not yours. It was your day and your desires should have been honored. She never prepared you for the fact it was nothing like you wanted. She made your day all about her. Your father should have had your back.
And Zoe had time to inform the parents that it wasn't the dress the bride decided on, meaning she set the bride up for confrontation. Dad, and his best intentions, paved the road to hell. He is also too delusional to ask for the other side of the story. Edited.
Not the a-hole. This could be a good learning opportunity for her, but instead they're coddling her. If she wants to go into this industry, she needs to know how to work in it. You were being far nicer than she deserved in all honesty. Leaving dress updates until a month beforehand is cutting it incredibly close. This is why people start their hunts many months beforehand, almost a full year. Getting adjustments takes time, and you were lucky to find a dress that you like and that fits on such short notice. She could have majorly compromised your wedding. Honestly, I think you need to be pretty blunt with her about this, because if this is how she's going to treat clients in future, then she's going to struggle a lot. Hell, show her this comment section.
I think Zoe waited until a month before the wedding to hand over the dress on purpose, hoping OP wouldn't have time to find a better dress and get it fitted. You're right that she's very lucky she did. Not the a-hole, and unless Zoe can accept that she doesn't get to design what SHE wants, but what the client wants, she's gonna need to pick a new career because no one will hire her.
Am I the a-hole for calling my brother controlling when he said that I'm the golden child? I have female 21, live with my parents. I'm a full-time student and I do seasonal work during the holidays. My parents don't charge me rent and I understand that I'm quite privileged. I have one sibling, my brother Curtis, male 28. He moved out 4 years ago and lives with his wife and 2 kids, ages 10 and 6. Curtis and I recently had a big argument and I think he is being unreasonably hostile towards me and owes me an apology. I ranted about this situation to a friend and she suggested I post it here. I don't normally go on Reddit. The argument started because my parents brought up my living situation at dinner and mentioned that the house will feel empty when I move out. Curtis said that he thinks that I am spoiled because they do not charge me rent, and that he thinks it is unfair that they charged him rent when he lived under their roof but don't charge me rent. My dad told Curtis to stop it and that was different. Curtis already had a kid when he was 18 and was working full-time, and also had his different girlfriends at the time living in the house. After dinner, me, my mom and Curtis were alone in the kitchen and he again brought it up. He accused our mom of coddling me and said that if I was his child, he'd charge me rent. My mom kept deliberately talking over him, but Curtis kept bringing it up and raising his voice. I just left the room and he followed me a few minutes later. He accused me of being the golden child and said he doesn't understand why our parents won't listen to him. I called him controlling and said that whether I pay rent to them is actually not his business and doesn't affect his life. He started full-on screaming at me and said he'd never be controlling towards his family, and I was horrible to even say that. Everyone else heard his screaming and his wife told him it was time for them to go home and they left. I'm feeling quite lost on this situation and I'm wondering if I was the a-hole. Edit. To clarify, my parents did help out a lot with each child, especially my brother's firstborn. It wasn't a roommate relationship or something. They paid for all the big-ticket baby items like the crib and stroller, and babysat a lot.
Not the a-hole. I don't really see the disparity. You brought 3 people into the household when you were a minor. Your parents put a roof over his child, and another adult's heads. Of course he should be contributing to the costs accumulated. It could be worded that he was rent-free. The rent was because there was a non-family member adult in the household. And a child is expensive, so he should be contributing to the extra costs of having a baby toddler in the house. I doubt the rent he paid even covered their expenses, and he was happy to pay them at the time.
He was a parent at 18 and had also brought into the house a girlfriend, and sounds like several women after that. I think it was fair that they charged him rent. He was an adult really wanting to hit all the adult points. Parents, usually, won't mind giving you and your children food, but it's still 3 more mouths to feed.
I would just ask your parents to handle it. Let them know how you felt and that you don't want to be chased through your own home to be berated. I have a brother much like this. Very abusive, moved in with my folks with his wife and had a baby on the way, wouldn't get a job because he had ideas that certain jobs were beneath him. Meanwhile, I was working 2 jobs and contributing to bills. My parents ultimately decided to get him a house, largely to get rid of him and his wife. It wasn't enough for him and he was always demanding more. Yours doesn't sound quite that bad, but him chasing you to continue to verbally abuse you is in fact abusive behavior. He is trying to control your parents and failing that to hurt you, not the a-hole.
If you were his child, he'd charge you rent, but he'd never be controlling toward his family. LOL. Bro doesn't seem like the sharpest tool in the shed. Your dad already tried to explain that one person living in the house versus one person, and possibly their child, and their myriad girlfriends, isn't the same. If that's too difficult to understand, it's not your problem. Not the a-hole.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories.